Gamers, Matt Lemke here with 2Gamer Goggles, gamer-goggles.com, and today we have another flip through for you. This one is on the newest release from Pathfinder. It is the Occult Adventures. This book is, I actually picked mine up at Gen Con. This book has a large section on characters using the new archetypes and things of that nature. And what I really like about this is in the first few pages you can kind of get a feel for the book by reading the first paragraph or the second paragraph, first sentence. One of the hallmarks of an occult campaign is a focus on mind over direct combat and confrontation. That sets the stage for the whole book. There's a lot of cool things in here though. They spend a good deal of time going over some of the newer classes. You know, and as with most of their books, or all of their books I should say, they have the little bitty section on how to navigate the book. And the very first chapter is on occult classes. And they spend a lot of time with the kineticist. And I am thoroughly impressed with what they've done. I've been trying to make my own version of a kineticist for a long time. Or what I should say is I've been trying to accomplish something like Aang from the last Avatar that had that kind of a feel for a long time. And they really nailed it on the head, I think. So there's about 15, well, let's see, 15, 20 pages. There's a few pages on the class description, and then you move into their wild talents. And what I want to show you here is that kineticists have simple blasts, which is their primary element at first level. At first level, you choose an element if you didn't figure that out. When a kineticist gains a new element via the expanded class feature list, she gains a simple blast from that element as well. Each simple blast is either a physical blast or an energy blast. Physical blasts are ranged attacks, and energy blasts are ranged touch attacks. Very cool, I think. And then the next, I don't know, 7 or 8 pages pretty much go through all of the different blasts and infusions that are available to the kineticist. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on that. You can see that there's a good bit of it. And then you move into a medium, which is basically the character that channels spirits into themselves. Didn't spend a lot of time looking at the medium. It wasn't one of my primary interests in the book. Neither was the mesmerist, which is the next class I want to move through to get to the actual occultist. I found to be a very interesting class. It was not one of the ones that I was looking forward to in the book, but occultists focus on the world around them, grounded their power of flow throughout the environment. And at basically almost like every other level, or every level, they get a focus power and implements. And basically, I was a little bit, you know, withdrawn from it at first, but then there's different schools to the implements, like abjuration, conjuration, and you can do different things with it. So, in a sense, you can say that the occultist is a very well-rounded wizard or sorcerer that focuses much more on the occult aspect of the game. And as you move on, you get into the occultist spells, and they have a relatively long list. And then you have the psychic, this is obviously your traditional psychic that you would see in the game, and this is probably my favorite picture in the book. And then as you move through a little bit farther, you move into, come on, where you hiding? The spiritualist. This is one of the ones that I thought was cool, because for lack of a better way of putting it, you can actually kind of like summon phantoms and things of that nature. They manifest spirits, basically, is what I wanted to get to. So I kind of think they're cool in that sense. They can be a lot of fun to play if you're creative and you want that kind of a challenge in your game. I kind of think I'm going to play a kineticist first out of this book. That is going to be the first thing. And then they did something that I found to be a cool surprise. They came up with the racial favored class options, and they go through all the different races that are in their main setting, and they list how they would be, how they would affect each and every class. I don't know why I didn't expect it, but I saw it and I was just like, that is cool. And then they go through archetypes, and this one hit me right off the bat for the kineticist. It's the blood kineticist, and basically the kineticist has been doing what they've been doing so long that they can pull the water with the blood of an individual and use the blood. And there's a few other archetypes in here that are kind of cool. The kami medium is cool if you're playing in a more Asian type of environment. Storyteller archetype. I could have a lot of fun with that with a character that had a bard base level. And then they have some things that are, you know, and a lot of these are, again, these are class specific, but as you move through to the back, they come into some that are not class specific, of course, as they do with, you know, all their books. Other class archetypes, they have an Alchemist archetype here for ecto, I'm going to call it chemist, but it's chimist. They study effects of alchemy on the soul and the spirit. And then they have another one here, it's the Promethean alchemists. You know, and you move through different things. They have a homunculus companion chart. And then they have a bard archetype down here. Bright purity of silver makes beautiful music, and its vibrations are also an anathema to unnatural creatures. So silver balladeer, I wonder if I said that right, must have a good alignment. This ability alters alignment. Interesting. And then there's the Order of the Eastern Star. And you get the idea. There's quite a few archetypes. We're about halfway through the book, and we have mostly done things with classes. They introduce some new feats in the book, of course. Which one did I want? Oh, bleeding. We'll look at bleeding. That was one of the ones that I found to be an interesting example. Your stare causes your foe to bleed out of its eyes. Mesmerist. Level 5 is a requirement. Painful stare, class feature. And when you trigger your painful stare, the target takes an amount of damage equal to 1/3 your mesmerist level. Bleed damage from multiple uses of bleeding stare doesn't stack. I just thought it was kind of neat. And you know, you got a good probably 30 to 40 pages of feats, I think. No, about 15. And then you move into psychic magic. In psychic magic, this is their spell list for everything. It goes through by class, alphabetical. Starts with Alchemist. It goes all the way through all the different classes, and then it follows it up with description. I did not spend a lot of time looking at the spells because in my current games it doesn't really affect me, so I'm going to spend more time studying it at a later date. But what I did want to move into is occult rules. This is the section that I'm going to say really helps give your game a lot more flavor, or a lot more background into the story. Basically over here it starts with the occult rules and the different things, and then occult skill unlocks like automatic writing and linguists and things of that nature. But it goes through a few other things, like it gets into auras, chakras, and how to activate them. And you know, they have the iconic monk here, which it would apply to very well, and how to incorporate these rules into your game campaign. They include a section on psychic duels, which was fun to read. And then after that, they move into the next chapter, unless I'm confused. Running an occult game. This is probably, whether you're running the game or not, I think this is one of the most fundamentals of chapters of the book, because it goes through and it gives you all kinds of ideas, concepts, guidelines on how to run and represent the occult within your book, within your game or your story. And then they go into occult locations and how they can affect your game. And then the last chapter is probably one of the smaller chapters. Oh, they also include stuff on the planes. Like, I don't know if you can tell by looking at the picture, but they got a map of some stuff in the background. And you've got some of the iconic characters chatting. And then they've got negative energy plane they talk about in length. The boneyard, the outer sphere. All of these things add to elements of the game world that have already been created. And then they call it the occult rewards. But largely it's the different pieces of equipment that you can use in your occult campaign to add more flavor to your occult characters. It also includes, after you get through the basic stuff, you start moving into alchemical items and into magic items, and then lastly into artifacts, which a couple of which are pretty powerful. Of course, they are artifacts, so they should be. But the occult artifacts really kind of surprised me with some of the power that they have. And for example, well, they're all a lot of reading, but you get an idea. Oh, here you go. Here's a good idea of power. You have a portal network. Cleric 20th level, and basically it's a portal, so it takes you from A to B, you know, but you look at it and it like weighs 64,000 pounds. It goes through the instructions on how they work from place to place and things of that nature. So another good example of a super powerful artifact, in my opinion, just from the basics of it without reading everything, and you know, there's certainly a drawback to it, but basically is Soul Portrait. There's a portrait, and it doesn't necessarily have to be of an exact representation of the individual, but the owner of the portrait effectively no longer ages or takes the penalties associated with aging. Now, when scrutinized, there are certain drawbacks and things of that nature, and you know, basically it also makes the character or NPC, because it could be a really great way to introduce this to your campaigns, but basically things like negative energy or negative levels and things don't affect this character. It says when portrait's owner would take ability damage, ability drain, or negative levels, she takes no adverse effects until they would be fatal. So basically, yeah, it's pretty broken. And then when the owner of a soul portrait dies, her soul is pulled into the canvas and her likeness becomes a character in the background, leaving space for a new portrait. A creature can claim ownership over a soul portrait by commissioning an artist to paint the likeness of the original image over the original image. The new owner must be present and willing while the artist paints, and the artist must succeed a DC 25 painting check. So as far as artifacts go, this one is pretty good, and it really does, especially in a homebrew campaign, the one that we're playing in right now, this could be pretty amazing because of the way the story is going out. One character kind of needs to step up and live much longer, shall we say, because of the type of archenemy we're fighting. So, the Occult Adventures, what do I think of it? When I first heard about this book, not concern, but I guess it was a concern. My concern was that it was going to be super heavy into the occult with a lot of very direct and realistic links to the spiritual world, which you do have some of those here, but it was approached in a much lighter fashion than I thought it would be. It's not like, you know, you can see certain inspirations from occult authors and things like that, but you don't see the weight of it. So basically what I'm trying to say is, like, let's say, what is a good one? They didn't delve so much into things like where, you know and understand the scientific background of, let's say, voodoo, or the proper usage of a Ouija board. The book is much lighter than that in the fact that they incorporated it into the game, and they let you, the rest of that is really pretty much left up to you. The Occult Adventures is a good book if you're going to be using this type of thing in your game. I think it's largely for players as every bit as much as it is for the GM. Maybe even more so for players a little bit because of the amount of detail and attention that is paid to characters and character creation within that. So, there you have it, the Occult Adventures from cover to cover. Thanks for watching. This has been a flip through with Matt Lemke from Through Gamer Goggles on the Occult Adventures from Paizo Publishing. Have a good day. Please subscribe to us if you like anything we've done. Real soon we'll be starting our Season 5 Kickstarter, so watch for that. And I appreciate everything you've done for us in the past. Have a good day.